All right, you're watching CNN. I'm Brooke Baldwin. Thanks for being with us. We have several breaking news stories. Let's start with these two, both involving allegations with President Trump. First of all, you have this former Playboy model who allegedly had this 9-month affair with President Donald Trump. She is suing the company that kept her original account from publication. The New York Times is reporting that Karen McDougal is suing to be released from an agreement which has been keeping her silent all these years. The White House has said Trump denies the affair. In a separate development this afternoon, his legal team has just lost a bid to dismiss a defamation case. This case brought on by former Apprentice contestant Summer Zervos. Trump has also denied Zervos' accusations that the president sexually assaulted her in 2007. So with me now, CNN's Athena Jones, also national political reporter MJ Lee, and our attorney, Joey Jackson. So let's see, MJ, I'm starting with you. You are talking about McDougal, this Playboy Playmate case, which is very similar to the Stormy Daniels case, but the biggest difference is it was the National Enquirer that paid her all the money to what she wouldn't realize would be never tell her story.
That's right. This is a woman who alleges that she had a 9-month affair with Donald Trump. And according to the New York Times, she is now suing American Media Inc., which owns the National Enquirer. And what she is claiming is that she was paid $150,000 at the time, but then the publication did this thing that is referred to as catch and kill, where they take the story and then they never actually run the story. Now, the important thing to remember here, and this is the key thing, is that the purpose of all of this is that she wants to speak. Speaking out is what she wants to do, and that is the purpose of this lawsuit. It is not, the focus right now isn't really about sort of the different allegations or the different stories or the different, narratives from back then. It is simply that she wants the ability to speak out, and she is saying the National Enquirer, as a part of this agreement, is stopping her from speaking out about this alleged affair.
Okay, catch and kill. We've been talking about this before in the news. It makes sense if somebody doesn't want a story out there. Does she have a leg to stand on with this?
She does. And look, every case, Brooke, turns on its facts, right? And so when you draft a complaint and you sue, there are a bunch of allegations. The issue or whether the allegations hold any water. Interestingly, before getting into whether she has a leg to stand on, we should note it's filed in California State Court, right? So comparable to the Stormy Daniels case, which we've talked about, will it be removed to federal court so that there are maneuvers there? But that's something to watch for. But on the merits of the case, she's alleging contractual claims that are problematic if true. Like what? Like she was fraudulently induced into this contract. When you look at contracts and when courts examine contractual language, it's a court of equity. You want to make sure that both parties who enter into the contract, there's an offer, there's an acceptance, there's a meeting of the minds, the parties were evenly situated. And if you look at the complaint, they're alleging it ain't so. That in fact, she was told one thing, and in fact, there was a lawyer that was involved who was clandestinely working with Trump's people and misrepresenting issues to her.
Not just any lawyer.
Right, not just any lawyer. We know. I guess we'll get into that momentarily. But the issue is that, look, in the event your lawyer misrepresents items to you and you're not going to read the contract, that's why you hire a lawyer. And that's fraud. And so if she could establish fraud, that's one issue. The other issue they're alleging is illegality. If a contract is entered into and it's illegal, it's void. It holds no weight at all. And the void claim and the illegal claim is that this was an in-kind campaign contribution to Trump to help his campaign. That's what this was all about. Good argument. And then the final argument, Brooke, centers about public policy. Contracts that are entered into that really are offensive to public policy because you're doing all these maneuvers behind the scenes and you're not really working for your client, but you're conflicted out. Courts don't like those either. So, does she have a leg to stand on? She could have two legs to stand on.
Yeah, you just laid out several legs.
In the event, exactly, that these facts, which will turn on if the facts are accurate.
Okay, pause on that for a second. Let me pivot back over to you, because from this Playboy Playmate to this Apprentice contestant by the name of Summer Zervos, who maintained, and she was one of those Trump accusers that came out before the election saying that he had tried to kiss her, tried to grope her several different occasions. That's not the case she's fighting. It's actually the case that down the road Trump called her a liar And she's saying that's defamation.
Absolutely. So there's a big difference here.
Yeah.
Number one, we're not talking about a consensual encounter. We're talking about her saying that it was sexual misconduct. And he didn't, down the road, he immediately refuted her allegations. She came out very soon after that Access Hollywood tape came out, in which then candidate Trump was bragging about sexually assaulting women. She said, look, this case says she thought it was her ethical duty to inform voters, let people know about these allegations against the then candidate. So she came out. He immediately, starting that day, in statements, on tweets, at rallies, in a debate on CNN, pushed back against not just Summer Zervos, but several other women who have accused him of similar misconduct, saying that they were all liars, that there was 100% fabrication. And at one point, he even retweeted a picture of Zervos. So this is a very specific and very clearly understood response to her claims. And she's saying, look, you have defamed me. You have caused me emotional and financial distress by calling me a liar. And so she pushed to allow this case to go forward. They brought the suit. It's now allowed to go forward. The president has 10 days to respond to this ruling. And so we'll have to wait and see what happens. I mean, this is a case of the president who could be deposed. He could ask to testify in this case. The lawyer Allred, Summer Zervos' attorney, they already subpoenaed the Trump campaign for documents related to all the communications from him, with him, about her. And so a lot could come out about his past sexual history in this case.
Okay, so the judge says it's okay, bring it on. He has 10 days. What should one expect?
Well, let's go back to what we talked about before. One will expect legal maneuvering. Will this case stay in the state of California? It may not. They're predicating jurisdiction by saying, look, if you do business in California, you're subject to suit in California. That's rational. It's logical. But there's also this other thing called diversity jurisdiction. And if one party's in one state and another's in another state, you could bring it to federal court. And federal court is largely where I think they'll want to have this fight, held,
which is
if the fight is held at all.
Stormy Daniels case.
Exactly.
Right.
Involving that same lawyer that we talked about.
Could I just make one more sort of big picture point
Big
too?
picture it for us, MJ.
Just keep in mind, and I think this is just worth repeating, we now have several women who are taking some form of legal action simply so that they can speak out about their relationship or interactions with President Trump. And the one thing that we know for sure about the Me Too movement is that numbers really matter. When women or victims, including men sometimes, see that other people are speaking out, they feel like they are now empowered to speak out as well.
So there are 3 now, ... Could be more in the future.
Right.
We're going to leave it for now. Thank you all so very much.